All right, let's get right into it. What we're about to unpack is a geopolitical story that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a spy thriller. It's a story about unimaginable money, absolute power, nuclear weapons, and at its heart, a stunning act of betrayal between two of the world's most unlikely allies.
And get this, we're not talking about a betrayal by some old enemy. No, this was from Pakistan, the one nation that was supposed to be Saudi Arabia's sworn protector, its brother in arms.
And that right there, that is the central mystery we're going to solve today. How could an alliance that seemed as solid as rock, one forged over 50 years, just shatter in an instant? Well, the answer is way more complex and, frankly, a lot more terrifying than you probably think.
Okay, so let's set the scene and break down what actually went down. This isn't just hearsay or speculation. This is about a concrete promise and how it was blatantly, shockingly broken.
So you got to understand, this was a legally binding document. It wasn't some handshake deal. It was an all-for-one, one-for-all pact, written in black and white. An attack on Saudi Arabia is an attack on Pakistan, period. There's just no wiggle room there.
And then it happens. Not even half a year after the ink dried on that pact, the nightmare scenario becomes a reality. Iran unleashes a huge wave of retaliatory strikes. We're talking missiles pouring into Saudi oil facilities. This is the exact moment that defense pact was created for.
You can imagine, the whole world was watching, waiting. The Saudis were definitely waiting. I mean, based on that treaty, everyone expected a swift, powerful military response from Pakistan. So, what happened?
Before I give you the answer, we have to rewind a little bit. To really get the scale of this betrayal, you have to understand just how deep this bond went. So let's jump back to the 1970s.
Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. $1 billion every single day. Saudi Arabia was so incredibly rich that all that money and all the weapons they were buying actually made them a massive target.
And then came 1979. What a nightmare year for the Saudis. First, the Iranian Revolution pops up right next door, challenging their very right to rule. Then, militants literally seize the holiest site in all of Islam, the Grand Mosque in Mecca. And to top it all off, the Soviets invade Afghanistan, basically surrounding the kingdom with hostile forces. They were rich, yeah, but they were also terrified and incredibly vulnerable.
And this is where it all clicks into place. You had Saudi Arabia with endless cash but not the military muscle to really protect itself. And then you had Pakistan with one of the toughest, most battle-hardened armies on the planet, but an economy that was always on the brink. It was, a perfect match.
But this alliance went so much deeper than just money for soldiers. It went nuclear. And this, right here, is the secret heart of the entire 50-year relationship.
This is the bombshell. Literally, Saudi Arabia secretly poured unbelievable amounts of money into Pakistan's covert program to build a nuclear bomb. So while the world was watching Pakistan, wondering how they were pulling it off, it was Saudi cash making the whole thing happen behind the scenes.
Think about what this means. Pakistan was essentially selling nuclear deterrence as a service. The deal was simple. You pay for our bomb, and if anyone ever threatens to wipe you off the map, our entire nuclear arsenal becomes your shield. It's truly one of the most audacious deals in modern history.
So, with that incredibly deep 50-year bond in mind, a bond sealed with a nuclear promise, let's go back to that moment of truth.
So, the attack happens. Iran is raining missiles down on its ally. The world holds its breath, and Pakistan's big, decisive response? No jets scrambled, no troops deployed, just a phone call. Their foreign minister called his Iranian counterpart and pretty much just said, hey, just so you know, we do have a defense pact with the Saudis. And that was it. That was the response.
But hold on, because it gets even crazier. Not only did Pakistan leave Saudi Arabia hanging, it was also betraying Iran at the exact same time by helping the U.S. with drone strikes and intelligence. And here's the real kicker. Years earlier, Pakistan had been caught red-handed selling nuclear secrets to Iran, the very country the Saudis played them to be protected from. They were playing every side against each other.
So this all brings us to one giant question. How on earth does Pakistan get away with any of this? Why aren't they a pariah state? Well, the answer lies in their ultimate trump card.
Now, on the surface, you could argue there were some practical reasons they didn't act. They were already stretched thin, fighting on 3 different fronts. And maybe more importantly, attacking Iran could have set off a civil war with Pakistan's own huge Shia population. So there's that.
But come on, that doesn't answer the bigger question, does it? Selling nuclear secrets, breaking defense pacts, playing all sides. Why does the world not only tolerate this, but keep bailing them out?
And here's your answer. It all comes down to this one number, 170. That's how many nuclear warheads Pakistan has. It's an arsenal bigger than the United Kingdom's. And that number is their ultimate insurance policy.
And this, right here, is the fear that keeps world leaders awake at night. If Pakistan's fragile government were to collapse, maybe from sanctions or an invasion, who gets their hands on those 170 nukes? A rogue general? A terrorist group? The risk is just, it's too great for anyone to even contemplate.
I think this quote just says it all. The world simply can't afford for Pakistan to fail. And so every single time they're on the brink of collapse, the international community writes another check. Every time they play a double game, the world sends a strongly worded letter and then sends more aid. They have to be kept afloat.
So you have to wonder, right? Has Pakistan managed to weaponize its own instability? Maybe for them, betrayal isn't just a strategy. Maybe it's a business model. A business model built on leveraging the world's greatest fear to let them act with total impunity. It's a terrifying thought, and it's one that completely redefines the rules of power in the 21st century.